Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Night Relief. So I'm calling you tonight from Germany. I've spent the last few days at the Stores and Bickle factory. It's been absolutely amazing. You're going to be seeing a lot of that footage coming out in the next couple weeks here. All I'll say, it's reminds me of the Jurassic Park laboratory. For all of you that have seen that movie, it's all very clean. Everyone's in white coats. Looks amazing, and I really appreciate Stores and Bickle for inviting me out there and to see their factory. But today's guest is a very special guest. I've been working with Fabian for a little over a year now. We've had lots of conversations about veterans and how cannabis helps with PTSD and other symptoms that they suffer with. So I'd like to bring Fabian on, and Fabian, maybe you can say a few words about your history with the military and how it's led you to where you are now. So Fabian, welcome to the show, buddy.
Sure, Jesse, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Just a quick intro about the military, because we'll pretty much all have the same kind of story. Our country sends us on deployments to places like Afghanistan and Iraq, and they tell us they'll take care of us when we return, so we go there wholeheartedly, and you're with your brothers and sisters there, and you're digging in, and you're fighting a fight, and things are good, and sometimes it goes fucking sideways, and sometimes it doesn't. Depends on what crew you're with, I guess, and how lucky you are to be in the shithole of Afghanistan. So that's what happened to me. I got sent back from Afghanistan, not doing well in the mental health side. Spent a few years on the wrong medication, a long list of pills like everybody. Luckily, I'm still here, and a bunch of us are not, and that's unfortunate. But that's why we're here today, myself. So I started a company 5 years ago called Marijuana for Trauma, just literally because I was using marijuana for trauma. It was that simple. But 5 years ago, nobody would step forward and say, "Hey, this works," because it was illegal. But we're the people who made it illegal, so it's ridiculous. The plant's been here a long time. I didn't know about its healing properties until that time, several years ago, because of PTSD. And now we have 11 clinics across Canada, over 12,000 patients, a grow operation in Ontario, and a technology division tracking over 32 million data points of these patients. So far, so good. We're heading in the right direction. And yeah, that's what got me here is pretty much PTSD in Afghanistan.
What trade were you in the military? You mentioned you were deployed.
Yeah, I was a combat engineer. You're at the front of the fight with the infantry and the fighting force. And your job is to make the roads and the routes as safe as possible for our guys to go on and fight. I've been to Africa, Haiti twice, Pakistan once, and Afghanistan twice. And I loved every minute of it, to be honest. It was a great job. Just you're not expecting the things that happen when you go to places like Afghanistan. You can't really fucking train for that shit, no matter how much you train. Unless you're going to start firing real bullets at each other. So yeah, the same old story, Jesse, is just Saturday past, we lost another Canadian veteran to suicide, and it's too familiar of a story. It's way too familiar for alarm bells not to be going off in the United States and Canada and all the countries with the veterans taking their lives. So a lot of awareness needs to be shed on that fact.
Well, I know in America, as you know, I've talked to a lot of American vets, and their suicide rate is is through the roof, but they have a larger population of people who served in the military. So when a Canadian soldier commits suicide, per capita and per amount of people who've actually served, it's still a very big percentage. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's it's daunting, really, if you think about it, that we've surpassed the death toll of the entire conflict in Afghanistan post-war to suicide from the same. That should be sending alarm bells to the government and the citizens of our country that we need help, that the treatment plan in place is not working. Whatever's going on is not working. Um, we took a crack at it by taking the cannabis route because people were actually feeling better, but that there's the whole fight of the stigma and the cost and the access and the type of cannabis and how much you need, and all those variables are fair game. But what about the group of people in our country that you sent to war that are now taking their lives? Do they not get a special exemption here? You give special exemptions to certain drugs. How come you can't give a special exemption to a certain group of humans that have already sacrificed enough? That's my question to our government. And while I do appreciate Veteran Affairs covering 3 grams a day, it's something, but it's not enough. I can show you on my table here with my medication, and I can sit here in my home and not go anywhere and get by on 3 grams a day. I'll agree to that, but that's not a quality of life I'm willing to do. So I need more to get out and function and do more. And that's the fight. There's no arguing that the plant medicine works. So I'm not here to argue that or even discuss it, because people need to do their own research and wake up about that.
Well,
it's access at this point.
you said 3 grams a day. I know about a year ago it used to be 10 grams a day. What was the deciding factor to cut you guys down by such a large percent?
Well, that is a very funny thing, Jesse, is that the Canadian Veteran Affairs had paid for us for 10 grams a day for 2 years with no evidence of that we needed 10 grams. And then out of the blue, cut our medicine down by 70% to 3 grams with no evidence of it. 3 grams is what you need for PTSD. And since then, I've seen 2 veterans take their lives because of that reduction. And that is absolutely shameful. At least the men and women that they put on 10 grams a day in the beginning in 2014 till 2016, they should have been left on that medication and not really fucked with the way they were, because it caused a whole lot of anxiety. There's families that are not doing well again. There's communities not doing well again. There's veterans isolating again. There's not 50 veterans with PTSD gathering for peer support anymore. Everybody doesn't have enough medicine to be out and about and medicating to prevent the onset of the symptoms of PTSD. That's how you need to use this kind of medicine. What happens when you run out in week 2 or week 3? You isolate and you introvert. It's classic PTSD.
So are veterans still, they get their 3 grams and then do they go to the black market to top up? Is that how that's working these days?
Unfortunately, yes, or fortunately, yes. It's there's no options. Okay, there's no dispensaries. There's no pharmacies to issue it to you. There's either get it in the mail, which not enough comes, or get it on the black market if you are so lucky to know somewhere, which is actually more affordable in a lot of cases. It's just that it's not safe. It's not as safe, I should say. It is safe if you know who's growing your medication, but if you do get sick, you don't have that chain of custody type thing that's legal. So it's a tough situation, really. And then what do you do? Grow your own? Like, I've heard that a bunch of times, but that doesn't really work, man. Have you ever tried to grow your own? It's not really easy unless you really love what you're doing.
I tried growing lettuce last year and failed miserably. So
yeah, lettuce is a good start, right?
It's not a
I
good.
love it. I just don't know how to grow it or really want to spend all my days learning. I just love using it and smelling it and everything about it. But I'm
It,
not a farmer.
I guess it falls more into the category of people who like to make their own wine and whatnot. Maybe one day they'll be they'll make it really easy and
Yeah, I
I'll,
think that's coming, like a micro cannabis, craft cannabis type thing, like a microbrewery. That would be great. Yeah.
is legalization recreationally, is that you think that'll be a benefit to your guys? As you're saying,
No, no,
there's
no. It's actually going to really kill us. When I say us, I mean the medical patient. Let's take this for example: is that right now in Canada, the only person that has coverage and the only people that are legal are medical patients right now. So we get the best medicine. We get the craft cannabis, that the high end stuff, and we get access to the low end, low cost production oil stuff. When recreational adult use comes, our average price might be $6 to $8 a gram right now, $9 a gram. But in the rec market, if somebody's going to pay $15, $18, $20 a gram, why would any shareholder of any licensed producer sell their product for $8.50 when they can get $12.50 or 15 or 18? It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to find myself having access to that middle of the road shitty ass weed that ain't going to cut it for PTSD, unless I have a connection or unless we force some hand here about focusing on medical patients. If you say you're going to focus on medical patients, because I've been told by many CEOs in this industry, oh yes, Fabian, we're going to fucking focus on medical because that's all there was at the time, and they're a bunch of bullshitters, so carve out a piece of your factory for just medical, so you, at least if you say it, you stay focused on it and you have at least a certain amount, right? But at the end of the day, Jesse, shareholders are going to fucking drive that agenda.
well, it's unfortunate to hear. Hopefully that
Just
some,
my opinion. Just my opinion, Jesse.
yeah. You heard it here first, folks. I
Yeah.
I don't I don't know enough to comment, but I'll take your word for it there, Fabian. Uh, maybe people will start growing their own then, and do you guys offer a service like that, or will you potentially that help veterans grow their own if need be?
If need be, and guys want to, that's a great idea. What I feel the issue is again, we're medical patients, and what happens when we have a trigger and we say fuck it and we can't grow anymore and our medicine's gone and we spent 2 months trying to get going, and you know unless you really want to be a farmer, unless you really want to do this and dial yourself in, I don't think it's the best idea to grow your own medicine. Maybe grow for the therapeutic benefit of growing a plant, but not for your medicine when you're in the vortex of people are still taking their lives. You really need to depend on a certain phenotype like Rockstar or Bubba Kush or the high myrcene terpene to sedate you, but then the sativas to kind of get you out and do the yard work at the same time. So you have to have that access in order to be safe, in my opinion, again.
And now you mentioned how you do sativas for certain parts of the day, indicas for others. Is there like a set schedule of when you wake up you have to have it in this form, a joint, and then at lunch you have it in this form because it's like I've never experienced scheduling like that.
Yeah, so I definitely wake up in the morning and have a cup of tea and one of these beautiful Rockstar joints that I smoke about 10 of a day, and that's my preferred method, is the indicas. And when I use sativa, it's usually around midday, just afternoon kind of delight feeling. But to get out there and to start my day, I need Rockstar or Bubba Kush so I can chill out for 30 minutes, focus on what's going to happen, not worry about it too much, and then go out the door and do your thing. So, and then when I use it every 2 to 4 hours, it's to prevent anybody from fucking triggering me. So you know, you're not going to startle me as quick anymore. You're not going to do something because I'm already medicated. And I'm going to stay that way until I get back in my comfort zone where I can use less medicine. That's not the preferred way to live your life. You need to get treatment for your injury, which I'm currently enrolled in, some neurofeedback stuff. But you need to treat the injury and get into therapy and get to the root cause and do the work if you're really going to get better. Because at the end of the day, someday I don't want to have to smoke marijuana for PTSD, and I'd like to be able to just exercise or do whatever that I used to do.
So you'd say it's more of a, a Band-Aid, more better, more the Band-Aid than a cure. It's I've heard people who, talk about physical injuries when they use it before they go to like a physio therapy session or a, chiropractic session, and it helps them loosen up so they can get better treatment. Is that the same as with PTSD?
Not so much, because with the PTSD, you have to vape, smoke, or use a sublingual, so it passes the blood-brain barrier and it levels out the anandamide 2-AG and CB1 receptors. When you're in pain, you have to orally ingest a medication for the most part, or vape CBD perhaps. But the CBD is what's going to help with people in pain. They don't necessarily need to use the indica or smoke it even. They could take CBD oil and, it'll lubricate the joints basically, and then they can get the most out of their physio. If they have anxiety on top of that, then maybe vaping CBD will reduce anxiety. You have PTSD on top of that, now you're going to need to smoke a big Bubba Kush or Rockstar joint, vape some CBD to reduce your anxiety, and take some oil for your pain, and now I'm ready for treatment. Like tell me how to do that on 3 grams a day, Jesse. Not possible.
So on 10 grams a day, you think that was like the perfect amount, or?
No, I do not think 10 grams a day was the perfect amount. But however, it is a ceiling dose, so that if I need 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 on one day or 7 the next or 6, it's available for me because I stopped taking every pill, 9 pills a day. I only have one medicine. So I'd like to have a ceiling dose where I know I'm not going to run out. My range is in between here, and I have access to it. Doesn't mean I use it every single day, but I have access, and that's a nice feeling to have. It's a safe feeling. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. So like, 3 grams a day might be good for a certain percentage of your days, but
Yeah.
doesn't the room for those really bad days.
If I don't leave the lake, I can smoke 3 grams a day and sit here and do just fine with, raking the yard and not doing much. It's when you get out in the public and you get out doing things and try to get back to life that you're going to need more.
Is there any movements right now to, get the 10 grams back, or a certain, a higher amount?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's been 2 great articles come out recently from the Globe and Mail, tracking what's going on, and there's a veteran group in New Brunswick that is suing Veterans Affairs Canada over the reduction because it was harmful what they did. It was unnecessary. And I'm not sure what other campaigns. I know there's hashtag if I take my life, please talk about it. That's a new thing going around that is pretty reasonable to ask of people. Is that, guys are taking their lives, and girls, like, thank you for having me on here and discussing this because it's an important mental health issue. The cannabis is one little part to play in mental health. It's not the cure at all. It's a Band-Aid. But it's the best goddamn Band-Aid, So let's talk about mental health. People are still killing themselves. That should be what's talked about, not the marijuana. That's just the Band-Aid. So, that's the issue, is awareness. Is getting people to talk about mental health, suicide, cannabis, any other treatments that may work too. Yeah.
You mentioned like Band-Aid multiple times, but without that Band-Aid, that wound is just exposed, and there's really nothing stopping or Nothing that's going to help that person start their treatment. Sorry, that was a very confusing sentence.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and it's exactly true. If you don't have this Band-Aid, Jesse, it's what happens is a guy or girl goes from 0 to 10 that quick instead of 0 to 10 because of Rockstar. It's now, and it's not good, and you ain't gonna like what you see and hear, you know. And you're gonna be like, "Here's your medication. Go ahead and smoke your joint because we don't want to see that again." And that's what goes on.
That's not a good way to get your point. Have to get your point across, right?
It's not. You can look at my history before I ever found cannabis, and I got a DUI for drinking and driving, and I got charged for threatening to kill the chief of the fire department in our town and punching people in the face and calling people bad names and doing bad things, and it was all on alcohol and pills prescribed to me by doctors, and they're right out to lunch as far as I'm concerned. Plant medicine, whole food, exercise, meditation, um, Eastern philosophy. This is the way to heal, not Western pharmaceutical routes. It's just not working.
And I'm going to remind you of something that you said to me that come recreational in Canada, you're having quite the party, and I got my plane ticket all ready to go here, Fabian. So I hope
you can be sure that when the end of prohibition comes, it will be a big celebration. This female deserves the biggest party of her life, and we're going to give it to her.
So that's going to take place out in New Brunswick, yeah?
Yeah, man. We'll do it right.
All right. I could keep you on all day. Last podcast we did was over an hour just because we love to talk, but got to keep these around 20 minutes, and we're already over that. So.
All right. Sorry, man. I can ramble sometimes. It gets out of control. Sorry.
No, I love it, and I'm going to officially ask you right now if you'd like to come on at a later date, and we continue the story there.
Yeah, any time for you, Jesse.
Oh, I appreciate that, Fabian. And any last words you want to say to veterans who might be listening to this?
I just want to thank Namaste Technologies and yourself for having me on, and veterans that are listening. That these guys group here, they're very accessible. They're gonna have this pretty cool app out soon. You should follow them along. Stay tuned for a veteran charity organization to come up next year that's going to blow people's mind, and we'll circle back on that next year, Jesse, and we'll do something big again.
Well, I'm excited to hear about that, and as it comes closer, we'd love to help you get that word out, and appreciate the kind words you just said about us here, and just to give you a quick background there, they found me at my lowest point, and they helped me get to where I am today. I feel like a brand new man. The Band-Aid helped me get better, and I'm glad it helped you as well.
Yeah, man. Look at us go.
Yeah, we're flying, Fabian.
Yeah, man. Just got to show the boys the way, right?
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
All right. Well, this has been a very awesome episode of your Wednesday Night Relief. Tune in next week. I'm going to be releasing the very first interview with Mr. Stores from Stores and Bickle. For those of you who don't know, it's an amazing vaporizer company. They're one of the sponsors of the show, and later on this summer, we're going to be going to visit Da Vinci, who is the second sponsor. So I don't know, Fabian, have you ever tried those vaporizers?
Yeah, I support vaping, but I like the entourage effect of the whole bud experience. That's my preference.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate you coming on, Fabian. So we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care.
We'll talk soon. Bye-bye, bud.